Freak, are you kidding me?
I can't get no sleep. My demons keep on haunting me. They never get no sleep. Pulse keep pulsing in on me. I can't get no sleep. I can't get no sleep.
If you could turn that little notary stamp, the one for witnessing signatures, into a six-figure income stream, sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, that's the big promise from a company called JusticeFund Exchange. So today, we're going to dive deep into their model and see what's really going on. And look, they are not shy about this claim. This is front and center, up to $35,000 a month. And you've got to ask yourself, right? How on earth does a notary pull that off? So what's going on here? JFE isn't just about, putting a notary stamp online. No, they're aiming to completely rewrite the rule book. We're about to see how they're mixing blockchain tech with let's say, a very specific kind of marketing structure to create this massive income potential. Yeah, so on one side, you've got the traditional notary. You know the deal. It's a respectable gig, but nobody's buying a yacht with it. And then you have the JFE model, which promises this rocket ship of growth. It's a whole different ballgame. So what's the magic ingredient? What turns that humble stamp into a cash machine? Okay, so the secret sauce, the engine behind this whole thing, it's all about tech. We're talking blockchain, smart contracts, the whole 9 yards. And get this, they're not just digitizing the act of notarizing. They're turning the documents themselves into secure digital assets. Think about complex stuff like digital judgment fund claims or even those UCC financing statements. JFE is basically transforming these legal papers into tradable assets on their own blockchain. It's all designed to automate and lock down these really high-value transactions. And the foundation for all of this is their very own private blockchain, which they've dubbed Notary Chain. Now, this isn't like Bitcoin or Ethereum where anyone can jump in. It's a closed private system. And why do that? Well, it's all about control. They get to manage the security, the privacy, and the stability of their entire ecosystem from top to bottom. You know how crypto can be a total roller coaster, right? Well, to avoid all that drama, JFE created its own internal currency, SBBX tokens. Think of these as the stable backbone of the whole system. They're built for instant, predictable payments within their world, so you're not gambling with your commissions. And if that's not stable enough for you, they've got another trick up their sleeve, gold-backed tokens. It's kind of a genius move, really. It's like taking this super old-school idea of security, real gold, and applying it to the new school world of digital money. The idea is to peg your earnings to a physical asset, protecting you from those wild market swings. So, when you put it all together, what are the big benefits they're selling? Well, for starters, every document gets locked in. It's immutable. You can't change it. Every single transaction leaves a digital footprint, creating this fraud-proof record that anyone can verify. And that on-chain proof, that's absolutely crucial for things like UCC compliance, managing complex trust assets, and basically bringing a whole new level of accountability to the digital world. Okay, so the tech sounds pretty impressive, right? But that's only half the equation. The real engine behind those big paychecks is a business model that a lot of people have strong opinions about. Yep, we're talking about multi-level marketing. So let's pull back the curtain and see how the money actually flows in the system. So this table pretty much lays out a classic MLM compensation plan. Basically, you're not just making money from your own services. A big chunk of your income comes from the people you bring in, and the people they bring in, and so on down the line. It's a recipe for potentially explosive growth, for sure. But, and this is a big but, it means your success hinges almost entirely on how good you are at recruiting and managing a team. And to make that dream feel super tangible, JFE throws out this number. an average of $8,500 a month after just 6 months of active work. That's a really attractive number, no doubt. But you always have to be careful with the word average in these kinds of models. It can hide a lot. The real question is always, what does it actually take to hit that number? And is it typical? So, given how complex this all is, you'd hope they give you some help, right? Well, JFE says they've built this whole ecosystem to support their members. Let's dig into what that support actually looks like. Okay, get this. JFE gives every member access to 2 different platforms, and they put a value on it of almost 600 bucks a month, which they give you for free. But what are these platforms, and are they actually worth that much? Let's break it down. First up is the Premium Analytics platform. You can think of this as your business dashboard, your command center. It's packed with tools to track your team's performance in real time, get market intelligence, and basically figure out the smartest way to grow your business and, your downline. Then there's the Elite Success platform. This one is less about data and more about personal growth and strategy. We're talking one-on-one coaching, access to an exclusive community of other high performers, and weekly strategy calls to really fine-tune your approach. And all this support, they claim, leads to a massive 92% retention rate. That's a huge number. They say it proves how great their system is, but you gotta wonder, what does that statistic really tell us? Is it really a sign that everyone's happy and successful, or is there another way to look at it? Of course, nothing sells a dream like a good success story, and JFE has plenty of those. Take this one from Sarah Johnson in Texas. She says she went from $2,000 a month to over $42,000 a month in just 14 months. Wow, that's the kind of story that's designed to show you what's possible if you just, as they say, fully implement the system. And the stories don't stop there. We hear about Michael R., a retired paralegal pulling in over 28 grand a month in 6 months. Then there's Jennifer W., who was skeptical at first but ended up tripling her income. The message is clear. If you work the system, build your team, use the tech, do the outreach, you can see these results too. But we have to remember, testimonials are highlights. They're powerful, but they're not the full picture. It always brings you back to that same question. What is the experience like for the average person who signs up? So, after looking at all this, what are we to make of Justice Fund Exchange? Is it truly a revolution in the making, or is it just a familiar MLM model dressed up in fancy blockchain clothes? Honestly, the answer is probably somewhere in the middle. But no matter where you land on JFE itself, you have to admit it's a pretty fascinating look at where the world of work could be headed. What we're seeing with Justice Fund Exchange is this wild experiment. It's a mashup of centuries-old legal traditions with the absolute cutting edge of financial tech. It's this blend of old school services, brand new technology, and a very, very innovative business model that makes it such a compelling case study. Look, we're going to see more and more companies like this pop up as our world gets more digital. And that means we have to get really good at asking the tough questions. Questions about whether these models are sustainable, if they can actually scale, and maybe most importantly, what are the ethics of tying a traditionally trusted public service to a high stakes financial game? Because at the end of the day, the future of work isn't just about cool new tech. It's about the choices we all make and the values we decide to build that future on.
Hello. Welcome to the debate. Today, we're looking at a really radical transformation happening in one of the world's oldest professions, the notary. We're diving into something called the Justice Fund Exchange, or JFE, which is a platform that tries to blend the very meticulous duty of the notary with advanced blockchain technology. And this is the controversial part, a multi-level marketing structure.
And that structure, it forces us to confront this fundamental tension. On one hand, JFE is pushing for modernization using things like notary chain and secure tokens, SBBX and Goldback, which are all designed to authenticate these really high-stakes legal documents. But on the other hand, it funds all this through a very aggressive 5-tier recruitment plan.
Absolutely. So the central question we really have to wrestle with here is this. Does the JFE model, by blending high-tech security with a multi-tiered recruitment plan, represent a sustainable, legitimate modernization that actually enhances notarial services? Or does the weight of that MLM structure just fundamentally compromise the integrity of a field built entirely on trust?
Well, I'm going to be arguing that the financial engine here, the constant emphasis on network expansion and the sheer scale of the commissions, it creates an inherent and frankly a destructive tension with the non-negotiable standards of notarial practice. It's asking a professional to serve two masters, the law and the sales quota.
And I'm going to argue that JFE's synthesis is not only a necessary evolution, but a highly successful one. By embedding notaries into a high-earning, high-tech business model, the platform creates, and I'm quoting the material, thriving businesses with unlimited income potential, which is exactly what you need to attract the talent required for this new decentralized economy. You see, JFE isn't just a simple upgrade. It's a redefinition of the notary's role. It's moving it from a localized fee-for-service job to a national high-tech business. Its core strength is the technology. Notary Chain, with its smart contracts, provides immutable verification and fraud-proof transaction records. I mean, this solves huge inefficiencies in traditional legal settlements, especially for things like digital judgment fund claims and UCC1 financing statements.
Okay, I see that. And I do acknowledge the profound efficiency gains you get from digitizing these complex legal workflows. But the financial engine, that 5-tier MLM plan, it prioritizes recruitment over the meticulous integrity a notary needs. And that for me is where the whole structure fails to uphold the sovereignty of truth in commerce. A notary's job is to be an attester of fact, not an architect of a sales team.
But that income potential is the necessary magnet. The documents themselves talk about unlimited income potential, citing an average rep earning $8,500 a month after just 6 months. And top performers are hitting $25,000, even $35,000 a month. The platform gives them the tools, premium analytics, the elite success platform, and the compliance checks to ensure quality while offering a salary that actually matches the responsibility of securing these assets.
That's a compelling point if you're looking purely at earnings. But notaries operate under critical non-negotiable standards. The material mentions 690 hours of foundational training, and more importantly, it requires sticking to 11 specific parameters in the notary journal, including imperative signature analysis. If that journal lacks what it calls ordinal perfection, the whole act can be nullified. So how does it 25% commission on your recruit's work or override 7 levels deep not fundamentally conflict with the duty to slow down, to verify, to be impartial? The whole emphasis shifts to team building. It makes you wonder if these success stories, like Sarah Johnson jumping to over $42,000 a month, reflect success in notarization or just success in sales.
And that brings us right to our first real point of disagreement: the sustainability of these earnings claims and whether that network structure can even coexist with procedural integrity.
Yeah, I'm just not convinced the model is sustainable. The focus is so heavily weighted toward the anecdotal upside, the $35,000 a month figure, which is based on fully implemented systems. And fully implemented here just means you've had huge recruitment success. It's not about average earnings from notary fees alone. So success becomes contingent on the pyramid, not the intrinsic value of the notarization service itself.
See, I think you're assuming the two functions are at odds when the platform is designed to fuse them. JFE explicitly wants to turn a solo fee job into a highly levered worked business. The network is what gives it the scale to handle high-volume, high-value transactions, like the tokenization method Secure BankBox uses. The support system, the compliance platforms, the coaching, and that 92% retention rate, that suggests the system is working for most people. This isn't some scheme where retention is near zero. It's professionalizing the practice.
Retention of what, though? That's the critical question the material doesn't answer. Is it retention in the MLM or retention of high-quality notarial practice? A team leader whose income depends on their downline's volume has a financial incentive to, maybe overlook procedural lapses. When you put the pressure needed to go from $2,000 to $42,000 a month up against the principle of ensuring an undeniable record of truth, which often means slowing things down, the system just encourages speed and volume over accuracy.
I think the technology itself is the safeguard against that. The notary chain audit trails and smart contracts are precisely what prevent the notary from having to rely only on manual checks. The software enforces those 11 parameters, ensuring compliance. So the high income isn't a reward for sloppy recruitment. It's compensation for managing high-stakes transactions that are just too complex for the old paper system. We're talking about securing assets that carry millions in risk.
That's a sophisticated defense, I'll grant you that. Arguing the machine mitigates the ethical hazard. But I'm still skeptical that tech can fully replace the impartial judgment of a human. And let's pivot to the technology itself, because this is where transparency becomes a major sticking point for me. The proprietary tokens.
I appreciate that, and I agree that tech is crucial. But I see the proprietary nature of the SBBX, the stable digital currency, and the gold-backed tokens as a strength, not a weakness. It allows JFE to create this custom, high-security backbone specifically for legal and financial exchanges. This gives you instant settlements, fraud-proof audit trails, and enhances the notary's value. These custom tokens they're essential for managing complex banking tasks and securing claims under UCC principles.
That's a compelling argument for custom security, but I'm sorry, I just don't buy that proprietary is inherently better for trust. Trust requires transparency. The documents, they don't specify the exact pegging mechanism of SBBX or even define the real-world assets backing the gold-backed tokens. Relying on a closed system versus an audited, open blockchain, it just creates this potential walled garden for critical infrastructure like secure bank box.
But the open standards have their own risks, mainly volatility and regulatory ambiguity. Secure bank box needs stability and verifiable compliance to manage tokenized assets and facilitate arbitration. The gold-backed tokens are designed specifically as a hedge against the crypto volatility that plagues open blockchains. It provides a predictable security layer that you absolutely need for legal settlements.
Okay, but if the pegging mechanism for SBBX isn't specified, how can anyone, the public financial institutions, be sure it's truly a stable currency and not just some internal liability controlled entirely by JFE? I mean, the whole point of a stablecoin is transparency about its reserves. The opacity here is a huge red flag. And what if JFE adoption lags? The value of these specific tokens and the whole secure bank box concept, it's all undermined by its limited transparency.
I'd argue that proprietary layer is what enforces the necessary compliance for these high-value exchanges. We're talking about a system designed to tokenize assets and secure tax credits under UCC Article 9. That level of complexity, it needs a tightly controlled environment. An open blockchain just can't provide that. The notary's verification process is the human-in-the-loop audit that validates the on-chain proof.
And that moves us perfectly into our third contention. What is the notary's role in this new digital world? I acknowledge the tech can handle complex instruments, but the JFE model, it risks shifting the notary's entire identity from a neutral attester of commercial fact to a compensated team builder.
I come at it from a different way. The technology allows the notary to shed the clerical stuff and focus on the real expertise. The tools, the AI receptionists, the compliance guarantee, they ensure that regulatory adherence is paramount. The high earning potential is just the incentive you need to draw in skilled people who can understand both the legal requirements and the complex architecture of notary chain.
But the pressure for residual income inherently distracts from the procedural demands. You're asking a notary to focus on ordinal perfection, that meticulous, error-free journal entry, while at the same time pressuring them to grow their downline for financial survival. The professional identity built on centuries of impartiality is being compromised by a sales identity built on recruitment. The metrics of success just shift from zero errors to maximizing commission overrides.
But the material clearly states the platform provides analytics and a success platform designed to monitor and guarantee quality control at scale. That's the beauty of the model. The notary uses the tech to ensure quality and the network to ensure profitability. It's a dual system where compliance is automated and verifiable, which frees the notaries to focus on the human verification step without being held back by the old inefficient fee structure. We need this if we want professionals managing these complex instruments.
That's an interesting point, but I'd frame it differently. That high efficiency might solve transaction volume, but it introduces a systemic regulatory risk. If the integrity of the notary is tied to their ability to recruit, we are effectively outsourcing the foundational trust layer of commerce to an incentivized sales force.
And I believe the regulatory foundation, the need for profound intellectual and procedural rigor, has to supersede the pursuit of unlimited income potential.
The fact remains, the market is changing. If we want highly competent professionals handling tokenized assets and judgment fund claims on platforms that promise unprecedented security, we have to offer financial incentives that match that responsibility. JFE provides the structure needed to secure these new digital workflows. So, to summarize our discussion, I maintain that JusticeFund Exchange represents a genuine, secure, and financially empowering revolution of the notary role. It successfully integrates them into the cutting edge of digital commerce through high-tech security and a powerful network model.
And I still maintain that introducing a high-stakes, 5-tier MLM structure introduces an inherent conflict of interest, one that compromises the neutrality and procedural rigor, the very integrity that the notary profession and all of commercial trust are built on. The sales focus just endangers the required impartiality.
We can certainly agree on one thing, though. The technological integration, blockchain, smart contracts, systems like Notary Chain. It is clearly enhancing security and efficiency in complex financial transactions, regardless of the business model. The shift toward tokenization and secure digital platforms is, it's inevitable.
Indeed. And it's important to acknowledge the documentation does stress the need for rigorous training and compliance. The unresolved question is whether that regulatory focus on perfection can truly withstand the sheer economic pressure from a compensation structure that rewards volume and team expansion over meticulous professional execution.
Which leaves us and our listeners with the core question this material raises. As professional roles become more integrated with decentralized tech and novel financial structures, which element must ultimately take precedence? The unlimited income potential needed to drive adoption, or the non-negotiable principles of professional integrity? There is clearly more to explore here.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Sometimes the sources you share with us feel like they were collected by 3 different people, each just intensely focused on their own little corner of disruption.
And today is definitely one of those times.
Absolutely. We have this fascinating, almost contradictory stack. It covers everything from the very specific regulated world of commercial law and notarization,
All the way to autonomous e-commerce optimization.
right? And then to top it all off, these huge, frankly, scary warnings about global financial debasement.
It's truly a testament to your wide-ranging curiosity. This collection, it really speaks to the seismic shifts happening across commerce, technology, and finance all at the same time.
It does.
So our mission today is split into 3 distinct, yet I think profoundly interwoven deep dives, all drawing directly from this material you've shared.
And the connective thread, if I'm seeing one, seems to be this push for automation and security in places where trust is either collapsing or it's just proving too slow to scale.
Precisely. Our first mission is foundational. We need to analyze the essential role of, verifiable truth in modern commerce.
Okay.
We'll look at how platforms like the JusticeFund Exchange, JFE, and Secure Bank Box are taking these really traditional, rigorous legal processes, notarization, for example, and basically weaponizing them with decentralization.
Creating a whole new mechanism for commercial conveyance, as they put it.
Exactly.
That's the part I find so mind-bending. The notary profession suddenly becoming cutting edge.
And then our second mission is to dissect the rapid growth and the highly specialized strategy of Moonshot AI.
The autonomous CRO platform.
Right. It's radically changing how mid-market e-commerce brands function. It essentially turns these, stagnant websites into self-optimizing living organisms.
Shifting from centuries-old law to the speed of generative AI, it's quite a jump.
And then finally, we have to pivot to the macro level. We really must explore the urgent warnings in your source material about global currency debasement.
The sinking boat analogy.
That's the one. And we'll detail a practical layered exit strategy that's built entirely on the principles of sound money.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start at the foundation, right? The modernization of trust. We're diving deep into the world of notaries, blockchain, and this JusticeFund exchange.
Right.
And this whole transformation, it really begins by understanding why the notary, a figure we probably all take for granted, is actually critical to the entire global commercial system.
This discussion has to start at the absolute bedrock of law and commerce. The sources really emphasize these core maxims: truth, justice, and fairness.
A fundamental.
Well, fundamentals. If you strip away all the layers of regulation and complexity, what are you left with? You're left with the need for the sovereignty of truth. Commercial dealings, especially the high-value ones, they just require an undeniable, verifiable bedrock of facts.
And that bedrock is often captured in an affidavit, a sworn statement. The sources make it so clear that an affidavit isn't just another document, it's a legal cornerstone.
Absolutely. The documentation highlights that an unchallenged, properly verified affidavit, a sworn statement of facts attested to by an impartial third party, it can, by legal doctrine, gain the force and finality of a judgment.
The force of a judgment.
The force of a judgment.
Yeah.
Which means that initial verification process, the notarization itself, it's not just administrative. It's utterly critical to establishing a legally enforceable chain of truth.
So if that notary process is compromised, the whole legal and commercial foundation can just be rebutted.
It can completely fall apart.
So establishing that documented truth is the goal. And the tool for maintaining that integrity is the notary's journal. The sources really, really stress that this is not just some routine logbook.
Oh, not at all. They call it a non-negotiable legal record that has to be maintained with almost ceremonial precision. It's the paper firewall before you even get to the digital ledger.
A paper firewall, I like that.
Because that journal, it might be the single piece of evidence that either validates or, completely destroys a multi-million-dollar transaction years down the line.
Okay, this is where we need to slow down because the sources mentioned 11 specific substantive parameters that have to be captured for every single notarial act. The level of detail is just astonishing.
It is. And it's all designed to be so comprehensive that you can reconstruct the exact moment and intent of the transaction, leaving, zero room for ambiguity.
So walk us through some of the most critical ones.
Certainly. So first you have the basics, right? The date and time of notarization and the specific type of notarization.
Like an acknowledgement versus a jurat.
Exactly. An acknowledgement just verifies identity, whereas with a jurat, the person is swearing to the truth of the content. Very different legal weight.
Simple enough. But what else is required to achieve this? What do they call it? Ordinal perfection.
Ordinal perfection, yes.
Mm.
Well, next is the specific type of document being notarized. Is it a deed, a power of attorney,
right,
a digital judgment fund claim? The context is essential. Then you have the physical address of the notarized party, linking the person to a physical spot, and then the detailed identification information used, type of ID, expiration date, all of it.
And if those are the core facts, what's the single most important procedural requirement for verification? What's the one thing you absolutely cannot miss?
That would be what they call the imperative signature analysis. The sources treat this as completely non-negotiable. It's the requirement to capture both the person's printed name and their original wet signature right there in the journal entry.
Both printed and signed.
Both. This dual capture is designed to cross-verify the individual's intent and identity against the document itself. It's the physical proof.
So if that dual requirement printed name and wet signature is missed, the integrity of the record is just instantly jeopardized, no matter how accurate the rest of the data is.
Instantly. The documentation is crystal clear on this. Missing this one critical step could render the notarial act legally flawed. It opens the door for rebuttals, legal challenges, even major lawsuits aimed at overturning the entire transaction. They even cite specific legal precedents, like the Notary Public Record Book Num 880, to show that these requirements are not arbitrary. They are the established gravity of commercial procedure.
This emphasis on procedural perfection, it really highlights the immense responsibility on the notary, which I guess connects directly to the source's concern about a massive training gap in the profession.
A huge gap. They're not just paper pushers. They're acting as a cornerstone of legal commerce.
And they need deep legal context for that.
Immense context. The necessary continuing education commitment cited is shockingly high. We're talking 690 hours total.
690 hours.
Yes. And this training, it isn't just about where to put the stamp. It focuses on the underlying law, the mechanics of conveyance, the legal process of transferring property rights or assets, and the Foundational Uniform Commercial Code, the UCC.
Let's pause on UCC and conveyance, because those are technical terms. We should probably clarify them. When we talk about conveyance, are we basically just talking about the legal mechanism for transferring ownership?
That's a perfect way to put it. Conveyance is the act of moving a right or a title from one party to another. The UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code, is a set of standardized laws that governs pretty much all commercial transactions in the U.S.
Okay, so it covers everything from sales of goods to...
You secure transactions, like taking collateral against a loan, a notary supporting a transaction, especially a UCC1 financing statement, which establishes a creditor's security interest. Well, they have to understand the legal weight of that document.
Because if they don't get the foundational law, their notarial act is just ceremonial, not legally sound.
Exactly. And it opens the door for huge compliance risks.
So this high bar for expertise is the entire context for why the Justice Fund Exchange, or JFE, even exists. They're basically saying we need expert notaries and we need tech to make that verifiable truth immutable and scalable.
Precisely. JFE is presented as this public-facing platform designed to modernize that core legal function. They want to make it a superior mechanism for commercial conveyance. They blend the rigorously qualified notary with advanced decentralized tech.
And they've already brought in about 250 notaries, is that right?
That's what the source claims. Around 250 highly vetted notaries so far, leveraging their credentials to make these complex, high-value commercial dealings secure and, highly efficient.
Now, this is where the specific focus comes in. JFE isn't for notarizing, say, a permission slip. It's built to handle specialized documents that require this high level of legal and financial rigor.
That's the absolute core of their value proposition. JFE is designed to process and secure high-value legal and financial instruments. This includes things like digital judgment fund claims.
So, settlements or awards that need transparent, verified dispersal.
Exactly. And bills of exchange, which are essentially verified orders to pay a specified sum of money at a fixed time. And of course, complex UCC1 financing statements.
So they're digitizing documents that traditionally require massive paper trails, lawyer review, and just slow centralized processing. And they're giving them legal weight. How does the notary chain, their decentralized backbone, make this secure?
The notary chain is the key innovation. The principle is simple and non-negotiable. Only currently commissioned notaries in good standing, the ones meeting those meticulous standards we just outlined, can influence or add data to this decentralized chain.
Okay.
This creates a critical layer of immutable verification. So when an affidavit of obligation is digitized, the notary provides the on-chain proof. This ensures data integrity, verifiable proof of funds for complex transactions, and, enhanced security for all digital obligations managed on the platform.
So it's providing smart notarization and blockchain-based audit trails,
which are essential for compliance with UCC principles and local regulations.
So JFE isn't just relying on code, it's relying on code that is guarded by legally verified human expertise. It's merging the rigor of the past with the security of the future.
It is setting a new standard for digital, commercial, and legal workflows. By ensuring accountability and privacy through these decentralized ledgers, the system claims it can seamlessly integrate into existing commercial banking tasks and trust administration.
And the efficiency gains are huge.
They project that this approach can slash processing time by up to 80% and cut operational costs by 65% for institutions handling high-volume, legally sensitive material.
That's impressive. But we have to address the elephant in the room now. The financial engine driving the rapid adoption and scaling of JFE. It's structured as an audacious 5-tier, multi-level marketing structure.
It is?
They're aiming to transform notary work into a high-earning business with, quote, unlimited income potential.
It's a dual strategy, right? They need rapid scale, but they also need high-quality notary input. The MLM model incentivizes network growth alongside notarial performance.
Full quick ramp up.
A very quick ramp up. And the revenue streams are complex. You have direct notary service fees, multi-level commissions, passive income from smart contract validations, team bonuses, and residual income.
Okay. But as an informed learner, you are likely looking at these financial claims with a very skeptical eye, especially given the aggressive figures they cite. And I have to ask, if JFE is supposed to be about immutable truth and serious legal conveyance, doesn't layering an aggressive 5-tier MLM structure on top introduce a conflict of interest, or at least intense pressure to cut corners?
That is a fundamental and necessary question. The sources don't really address the ethical conflict head on, but they showcase the mechanism that's designed to overcome it.
Which is?
It all comes back to the notary chain principle. The technology itself will only accept input from a notary who is in good standing. So if a notary violates the 11-parameter procedural requirement, their act is automatically nullified on the blockchain.
Ah, so it could jeopardize their commission and their future earnings.
Their entire career. The pressure to maintain integrity is tied directly to the need to remain commissioned and compliant. That's the sole access point to the MLM revenue. It's a very high-stakes system of checks and balances.
Let's detail the earnings they claim are achievable, because these numbers are a massive part of their recruitment drive.
The claims are extremely aggressive. For level 1, which is focused on direct referrals who become active notaries, the potential earning range is quoted between $5,000 to $15,000 per month.
And that's based on a 25% commission from your direct recruits fees.
Correct. And then as you shift to building out your own team and network, those figures multiply significantly.
Right.
Levels 2 and 3, the team building phase, show potential earnings jumping to $15,000 to $25,000 a month. This comes from a 15% commission on your level 2 recruits and 10% on level 3. The incentive is clearly to teach your downline how to recruit and perform.
And the top elite level.
That's the peak, aimed at experienced network builders. Top elite earners are quoted at $25,000 to $35,000 per month.
Wow.
And that tier grants substantial overrides up to 7 levels deep, plus leadership bonuses, profit sharing, and exclusive high-value commercial referrals. Probably those clients with the digital judgment claims.
And they cite some pretty astonishing success metrics.
They do. An average certified rep is claimed to earn $8,500 a month after just 6 months, with top performers hitting elite status within 12 to 18 months.
A structure designed for maximum speed and scale. But as we've said, none of this ambitious project works without the proprietary tech. The tokens and the security have to be flawless.
They do. The transactions rely on advanced smart contracts and a proprietary system using a dual token approach. First, you have the SBBX tokens.
Okay.
These are described as a stable digital currency, specifically designed for legal exchanges. They promise instant, secure settlement for these large value transfers.
And the second token, the gold-backed token, how does that fit in?
The gold-backed token acts as an asset-backed security. Its whole purpose is to hedge against market volatility, which is critical when you're dealing with long-term trust administration or deferred financial obligations.
So SBBX is the high-speed settlement layer, and Goldback is the stable store of value.
Exactly. It links the digital transaction back to sound money principles.
So they're building for stability and instant execution at the same time, trying to solve the old problems of slow bank settlements and crypto volatility. What are the concrete security claims they're making?
The security claims are massive, and they have to be for regulatory acceptance. They guarantee immutable verification, instant payment settlements, and bank-level encryption.
And things like fraud-proof transaction records.
Yes, and certified security auditors, and explicit guarantees of compliance with federal, state, and international regulations, including the UCC. They also cite 99.9% uptime and a record of 0 security breaches, which is paramount when you're managing trust assets.
And to make sure the notaries can actually navigate this complex system and reach those high earning levels, JFE offers this extensive high-value support system.
The exclusive dual platform access, right? Valued at nearly $600 a month.
It's a necessary part of that aggressive scaling model.
It is. The first half is the premium analytics platform. This gives the notary entrepreneur real-time metrics, custom reports on their downline trend analysis. It lets them run their business like a CEO uses a dashboard.
And the second platform is more focused on strategy and mentorship.
That's the Elite Success Platform. This offers personalized support, one-on-one coaching, access to an exclusive mastermind community, focused strategy calls. The fact that they boast a 92% retention rate
92%
among certified reps, that signals that this intensive onboarding and support system is highly effective at keeping notaries active and compliant.
It's a complete ecosystem then. Legal training, cutting-edge tech, and business development. And this all leads us directly to the future they're trying to build for the broader financial world. Secure BankBox, SBBX.
Secure BankBox is the decentralized solution built for the financial and logistics industries. It's the enterprise layer that takes advantage of that verified data stream coming from JFE and the notary chain.
So how does that integration with JFE supplying the legally verified human element make SBBX so revolutionary for global finance and logistics?
SBBX leverages blockchain and smart contracts to create a secure, transparent infrastructure for these really high-volume, complex transactions. But the pivotal link is trust.
Right.
When a bank needs to tokenize a financial asset, say a piece of debt or a bill of exchange, they aren't just relying on anonymous data. They're relying on a trusted data stream where the initial facts have been attested to by a commissioned compliant notary through the JFE system.
And this tokenization is huge for banks and logistics firms.
It is. It helps them manage assets, securely track shipments, and most importantly, mitigate risk.
Can you give us a tangible example of that risk mitigation, maybe in a cross-border transaction?
Sure. Imagine a logistics firm is moving high-value goods across multiple international borders. You've got different regulatory bodies, different currencies. SBBX can tokenize the asset and the associated legal documents, like the bill of lading, which has been verified via the notary chain.
So you get a transparent, instant, and fraud-proof record.
Exactly. And even during market disruptions or supply chain bottlenecks, the proof of ownership, compliance, and location is secured by this decentralized, tamper-proof infrastructure.
So it streamlines settlements, helps with trust administration,
and even aids in arbitration during legal conflicts, all while navigating regulatory challenges with verifiable proof.
What's truly fascinating here is that the high-stakes, regulated world of legal conveyance, backed by those 11 parameters in a notary's journal, is now the essential source data feeding a cutting-edge tokenization platform for global finance.
It's the ultimate collision of tradition and disruption.
It really is. It's the full automation, authentication, and security of legal and commercial instruments.
By integrating UCC principles and smart contracts, they're creating platforms designed to manage digital obligations and trust assets in a globally decentralized economy.
Okay. We've established the foundation of verifiable truth in commerce, moving from the paper firewall to the digital backbone. Now let's leave the world of affidavits and notarization and move to the lightning-fast front lines of digital commerce.
A radical pivot.
A huge pivot, where the truth isn't about legal status, it's about optimizing human behavior. We're shifting gears completely to autonomous optimization in e-commerce, specifically through Moonshot AI.
Right, from meticulous legal compliance to rapid, often experimental optimization. Moonshot AI is addressing what the founder called the ancient problem of CRO, or conversion rate optimization.
CRO, getting the highest possible percentage of website visitors to, buy a product or sign up for a service. Why is that an ancient problem?
Because it's been historically reliant on these slow internal human processes that are just plagued by organizational friction. Imagine a large e-commerce brand. The team knows their conversion rate is low, but solving it requires coordination between 4 separate, often conflicting departments. You have analysts identify the problem, designers propose a solution, copywriters write the text, and then developers have to build the code for an A/B test.
And that process is slow.
It's incredibly slow, it's expensive, and it's based largely on guessing what works. Tests can take 2 months to run, and if the first one fails, you just start the 2-month cycle all over again. The founder called this manual CRO voodoo because you never truly know what will resonate with the customer until you've wasted a ton of time and money.
And Moonshot's generative AI platform aims to eliminate that friction and that guesswork entirely.
Exactly. They describe their platform as turning websites into living organisms that optimize autonomously. It automates the entire A to Z CRO process. The AI finds the problem area, say the checkout button placement. It tells the brand what's wrong, how to fix it, and crucially, it executes the fix autonomously.
Automated execution. That's the critical differentiator here. What does that mean in practice?
It means the platform generates the variants, it creates the alternative design mockups, it writes the copy, and it generates the production-ready code for an A/B test. All of it instantaneously.
So instead of running one test every 2 months,
you could theoretically run dozens of statistically valid tests at the same time, which just drastically shortens the optimization loop.
that speed and scale must drastically reduce the technical burden on the internal teams. But before we go deeper into the tech, I'm still stuck on the unconventional background of the CEO, Aviv, a radio DJ and TV host. How do you pivot that into a deep tech AI company?
It's an excellent point, and it speaks to the power of recognizing a pain point, not just mastering a technical stack. His co-founder came from the classic Israeli tech unit route via transportation. But Aviv's background as a TV journalist covering tech, it gave him an outsider's clarity on what was inefficient. He said he was fed up with covering tech. I wanted to build tech.
And that communication skill set became critical.
Absolutely critical to their go-to-market strategy. Pitching a complex, autonomous AI solution requires translating technical capabilities into clear, compelling customer value. His ability to tell a story and engage directly with decision makers, the head of e-commerce, the CMO, that's precisely what powers their founder-led sales approach.
That makes perfect sense for a high-value B2B SaaS product. So who are these decision makers they're targeting? Who is their ideal customer profile?
Their ICP is very specific, mid-market online brands and established e-commerce sites. And they have a non-negotiable data requirement. The customer must have at least 100,000 visitors per month.
Why that specific threshold? Why not target smaller businesses?
It's purely statistical, and it speaks to their core competency, which is rapid experimentation. To draw statistically valid conclusions from A/B testing, to know with certainty whether the AI-generated change actually worked, you just need a high volume of traffic.
Right, you need a big enough sample size.
Exactly. The co-founder explained, anything less than that threshold means tests take too long and the results are often noisy or inconclusive. They correlate that 100,000 visitors per month minimum with roughly $10 million in annual GMV. So they're targeting businesses big enough to feel the impact of even a small conversion uplift.
So their target personas are focused entirely on maximizing that revenue stream. The head of e-commerce, the CMO, the chief digital officer.
Correct. Those are the champions who feel the pain of slow CRO most acutely and have the budget to invest in an autonomous solution.
Let's talk about the business timeline. They officially started in October 2023, but they've already moved very aggressively on fundraising.
With impressive speed. They've raised $10 million to date a combination of a pre-seed and a seed plus round led by Mighty Capital. And this rapid capital raise, it provides a crucial insight into today's VC landscape. The CEO shared a key lesson. The days of raising serious capital with just a PowerPoint deck are over. Founders now have to demonstrate product market fit early. They needed a functional MVP, a killer demo, and most importantly, reference calls from design partners who are already using the platform.
Real world proof before the big checks are written.
Exactly.
And what about their go-to-market strategy?
It was global from day one. Operating out of Israel, they couldn't rely on a small domestic market. And while they're a scattered team with main hubs in New York and Tel Aviv, 80 to 90% of their clients today are US-based.
And the GTM motion itself relies heavily on founder-led sales.
It does. The CEO and his GTM manager are constantly traveling, prioritizing warm intros, leveraging their investor networks, and focusing intensely on high-traffic industry conferences. That face-to-face interaction is vital for building the trust you need to integrate a complex AI into a client's core revenue engine.
That personal touch makes a lot of sense, especially when you're trying to overcome the skepticism of handing over optimization to an AI. Now, on the business model side, pricing, they avoid taking a cut of the conversion uplift.
That's correct. They use a simple, transparent subscription model based on traffic tiers. They explicitly do not take a percentage of the customer's conversion uplift.
And why is that?
The CEO noted this aligns with CRO industry best practice. It keeps their pricing simple and predictable. If they took a cut, it would just complicate contracts and create friction when you're trying to calculate the AI's true impact versus, say, other marketing efforts. Simple tiered subscription just removes all that ambiguity.
So when VCs look at a company like this, what are the metrics they prioritize beyond simple ARR? They must need proof the AI is actually working.
Oh, absolutely. They focus intensely on operational metrics that prove the value of the autonomous system. Two key metrics are the annual revenue uplift they generate for their customers, the hard dollar value attributed to the AI's optimization, and the sheer volume of tests generated by the platform.
Because those numbers demonstrate the efficiency and scaling impact.
Far better than a simple subscription number ever could.
And as they scale, what's the immediate focus for capital allocation in 2026 with that $10 million they've raised?
The immediate priority is strategic hiring across three key areas. First, engineers to continue developing the proprietary AI models. Second, go-to-market staff marketing and sales to amplify that founder-led motion.
And the third?
And critically, the third area is customer success. They're seeking a very specific type of hire here. Former e-commerce managers or CRO managers who have worked on the client side. People who understand the pain points of their peers.
That's a brilliant strategy.
It is. The idea is to hire people who can guide customers in truly leveraging the AI, allowing the client's internal teams to shift from slow, manual testing to higher level, more creative strategic tasks.
Hiring people who have lived the problem to guide the solution. Moonshot AI is clearly demonstrating how specialized generative AI is fundamentally changing the role of internal teams.
It's providing speed and scale that manual, friction-filled processes simply cannot achieve. It's the disruption of the slow middle layer of the commercial internet.
Making optimization a continuous, autonomous background function.
Exactly.
We've covered the future of trust and the future of e-commerce automation. Now we pivot one final time to the broadest, most foundational topic in your sources. The warnings about global financial debasement and what to do about it.
We are moving from the micro-optimization of a landing page to the macro instability of the entire global financial system.
It's a huge shift.
And this section uses a very powerful and memorable analogy to frame the whole situation. The global economy is a giant boat. For decades, governments have been trying to keep this boat afloat by patching holes with massive sovereign debt and printing cash.
Quantitative easing, stimulus measures.
All of it. But the sources suggest the patching strategy has now failed and the boat is fundamentally taking on water.
And it's leaking faster than they can fix it.
That's the core warning. The documentation stresses that highly sophisticated institutions and legendary investors, they specifically name figures like Ray Dalio and Ken Griffin, are not just diversifying, they are actively grabbing golden life jackets.
And that behavior signals their internal belief that the money system itself is structurally compromised.
Primarily the dollar and government bonds, yes.
And the crew, the governments and central banks, they just appear to be ignoring the leaks by adding more weight in the form of trillions of dollars of new debt. This leads directly to the massive erosion of trust in U.S. treasuries.
This is the critical data point that underpins the macro fear. U.S. treasuries were, for so long, the unimpeachable safe harbor asset of the world. But the most telling indicator of shifting trust is who holds this debt.
The foreign holdings?
Yes. Foreign official share of outstanding U.S. treasuries has plummeted from a high of about 45% in 2008 to around 15% today.
That's a 2/3 reduction in foreign confidence in 15 years. That's a direct warning sign, isn't it?
It's a massive warning sign. When foreign central banks, America's largest creditors, start selling off treasuries, it signals a dramatic reassessment of risk. They're diversifying their reserves away from the dollar.
Because they fear the U.S. government can't or won't repay its debt in currency of similar purchasing power.
Due to continuous debasement, yes. It's a direct challenge to the dollar's status as the global reserve currency. The footnotes even suggest that phenomena like stablecoins are just an attempt to create a new false market for the dollar, to maintain a digital facade of stability while the underlying asset is compromised.
And if we want to know what the ultimate insiders truly think, we just have to look at the behavior of the global central banks themselves.
Indeed, global central bankers are loading up on gold at near record levels. They understand the devaluation trade implicitly because, as the source states, devaluing the currency is fundamentally a central banker's job.
But the difference now is that they've run out of conventional tools.
Exactly. The only mechanism left is continuous debasement, which leads inevitably to higher inflation and a loss of public confidence in the currency.
The public reaction, according to the sources, is also showing up clearly in the market shift from paper promises to physical reality.
We're seeing a fundamental shift in where people are putting their trust. The sources claim the physical gold and silver markets are overwhelming the paper markets, meaning the demand for tangible metal is exceeding the available supply of futures contracts and paper proxies.
And that reflects a growing loss of public confidence in current markets and leadership.
An irreversible loss, they argue. And the end goal of the government's reaction, according to this analysis, isn't necessarily to fix the boat. It's to manage the transition into a controlled financial system, like a CBDC, a surveillance system, without widespread public complaint.
And when you look at the historical performance of what the sources call sound money, physical gold and silver, the numbers made a powerful case for this exit strategy.
They are striking. Physical gold and silver have outperformed every single fiat currency since the year 2000. Gold, in this analysis, functions to expand purchasing power. Silver, on the other hand, protects the ability to buy the same goods and services over time. It maintains parity. And that long-term performance is the foundation for the four-layered exit strategy.
Let's get into that strategy. It's presented as a defensive mechanism, right? Designed to ensure financial stability, regardless of whether the analyst is precisely right or wrong about the timing.
Exactly. It's comprehensive and relies on having multiple layers of financial defense. Layer one is all about sustaining your standard of living.
Okay, so daily needs.
Right. Maintaining a sufficient level of easily convertible assets. This includes a small amount of cash, gold backs, which are small physical gold certificates, or electronic gold platforms like Glint. These are assets you can convert immediately for gas, groceries, unexpected bills.
So you have liquidity during high volatility.
Yes.
And what about layer two? That focuses on protecting accumulated wealth, particularly large liabilities like a mortgage.
Layer two addresses the largest source of debt most people carry. The strategy involves holding a necessary amount of gold, your principal, intact, and being prepared to convert it into the prevailing currency of the realm, dollars, CBDCs, whatever it is, during a very specific window.
The first overnight reset event.
Yes.
So that's timing the conversion to wipe out debt during the moment of maximum instability. Why is that timing so critical?
Because that reset, whether it's hyperinflation or a transition to a new digital currency, will be accompanied by massive volatility and regulatory shifts. By timing the conversion of gold, which has preserved its purchasing power, into the collapsing or transitioning fiat currency, you can use a smaller relative amount of gold to extinguish a potentially massive debt liability.
Which is fixed in nominal terms. It's an asymmetric trade.
Aimed at debt elimination.
And once the debt is gone, layer 3 kicks in, which is the strategy for maximizing gains from the market correction.
Layer 3 is all about the transition to undervalued income-producing assets. The argument is that the current market is highly inflated. Stocks, certain real estate, zombie corporations, kept alive by cheap debt. They're all at nosebleed levels.
So you hold your purchasing power in gold until those assets undergo a severe washout phase, a crash.
And they become severely undervalued. The strategy relies on the natural asset cycle. Assets move from undervaluation to fair valuation to overvaluation and back again. The exit is time to convert gold into truly valuable, income-producing assets, rights, dividend-paying stocks, real estate, when they hit that phase of severe undervaluation.
You're protecting your principal during the boom and deploying it during the bust.
Precise.
That is a powerful strategy, but it requires a very specific prediction about the severity of a collapse. What if the analyst is completely wrong and the system just kind of grinds along for another decade? How does this still protect you?
That is the ultimate defensive feature of this layered approach. If the system just grinds along, holding sound money like physical gold still ensures purchasing power preservation, as we've seen since 2000. It's an insurance policy.
So if the stock market soars, the gold might lag, but you still have your liquidity.
And if inflation spikes, the gold immediately defends your purchasing power. It's designed to provide stability against both slow decline and rapid collapse.
And finally, layer 4, which the sources describe as the crucial component, is recouping the principal.
This is the forgotten step. Any principal, any gold used to pay off mortgages or buy new assets during the crisis has to be methodically recouped afterward. Principal preservation is seen as vital for long-term stability in whatever new system emerges.
And there was a crucial note about government tools.
Yes. Taxation, fees, fines, penalties. These are deliberately used by governments to keep people cycling their wealth back into the fiat system. This layered strategy, by converting physical wealth only at strategic moments, allows you to choose when and how you pay these obligations, rather than the government dictating the terms.
That strategy is certainly thorough, but we have to address the one major asset that many people rely on today, Bitcoin, which the sources critique pretty heavily.
The source material is highly skeptical of Bitcoin's long-term survivability as a true exit asset, even with Wall Street's adoption. The core vulnerability they identify is simple. Bitcoin can ultimately only be converted back into fiat currencies, dollars, euros, yen. It doesn't have the intrinsic nature of gold.
And the conclusion drawn from that fiat conversion vulnerability is highly provocative.
The conclusion is that if fiat currencies eventually go the way of the fiat, if the boat sinks completely, then anything convertible only into fiat will logically follow. It's an echo chamber of currency risk.
So what's the advice?
The advice is to wait and let Bitcoin run the test. If it passes the ultimate stress test of a global financial transition, proper diversification ensures you can buy it cheaper later when you've preserved your purchasing power in gold.
They also pointed out a powerful psychological component.
They did. That humans instinctively view physical gold as real money, which is why almost every crypto company depicts their digital tokens as physical gold coins in their marketing.
A fascinating point. The need to give a purely digital asset the visual imprimatur of physical, tangible wealth. It speaks volumes about our intrinsic trust in what we can actually touch.
That tangible security is what provides the foundational trust when all other systems, from banking to government, are perceived as fundamentally unstable.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner? We've covered massive complex ground today. We move from the necessity of verifiable truth in commercial law, exploring how the 11 parameters of a notary journal are now feeding a cutting-edge decentralized finance solution like JFE and Secure Bank Box.
Then we pivoted to the micro-optimization of e-commerce, seeing how Moonshot AI is leveraging generative models to solve that ancient problem of CRO at incredible speed and scale.
And finally, we zoomed out to the largest perspective of all, The urgent warnings about global financial tectonic shifts, demonstrating why a robust, layered, sound money strategy is necessary to protect purchasing power against the debasement trade.
We saw how fundamental concepts like verifiable truth and security, often taken for granted, are now being amplified and integrated into these cutting-edge decentralized platforms.
The rigor of that notary journal is now feeding high-tech financial solutions designed to manage millions in secure transactions. And at the same time, technology is completely changing the nature of work in e-commerce, proving that friction in any business process is now a target for autonomous AI.
It paints a profound picture of an economy where centralized trust and centralized currency are both undergoing intense scrutiny and disruption.
So, we leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. In an era where global financial structures are deemed fundamentally unstable, the sinking boat, and every traditional profession is being disrupted by AI or decentralized technology, what is the single most critical asset you should focus on protecting or building right now? Purchasing power via sound money, verifiable data integrity via secure legal systems, or the security of your core professional skills in an era of autonomous automation?
Frank, are you kidding me?
I can't get no sleep. My demons keep on haunting me. They never let me breathe. Get no sleep. Walls keep closing in on me. Sleep. I can't get no sleep. My demons keep on haunting me. They never get no sleep. Walls keep closing in on me. I can't sleep.